and welcome back to another edition of Money Matters with Matt here on Mondays. I'm excited to jump into today's topic with you, payday routines. We're looking at how the habits of today affect the potential of our future tomorrow. And the more we understand habits and look and identify habits in our own lives, the things that we typically do with or without knowing we do them habitually in those manners have a long-term effect on the direction that we are going in all areas of our life. When we look at our finances, the exact same thing is true. The habits that we live in today, whether we have developed them or they have been undeveloped and just run free in our life, will dictate the directions that we go. We notice that and know that as we increase in the income that we earn, if we don't have any habits that are used in manners of wealth creation, we will always spend more money. We call this lifestyle creep. We see this often when we receive money and we don't know what to do with it. We tend to spend it on things we don't need. We don't have to look far to find headlines of individuals who receive a large amount of money either through being a musician or an athlete or something in that realm, and as a result they blow through millions of dollars in a year and are left broken, confused at the end of a career going, I don't even know what happened to the money that I had. This doesn't need to be the story that you and I live. When we look at payday habits and the routines that establish and direct us where we're going, then we can begin to put steps in place today that will prepare us for things that are coming in the future. These habits, when we assess them and establish them, will be part of the plan that we have. If we fail to plan, then we plan to fail. And the reality is that for a lot of us, we fail to plan our finances and we end up in disaster later. Not having enough for the things that we need later in life when we have less energy and less ability to go and get that bag. So we find ourselves needing to consider what it means to plan today to be prepared for what is coming later. Without a plan to safeguard our financial fortress, we will easily lose those finances to fears and desires that we have. We have fears of missing out, so payday comes and we run off to the bar with our friends, or we go and get that new vehicle or that new gizmo or gadget so that we can demonstrate that we've gotten paid. We get paid and we celebrate by going out for the fanciest dinner of the month on payday. But what this does is it continues to establish habits of spending that money in ways that are not useful in the creation of a financial fortress and wealth building peace. Learning to have routines within our payday will establish and begin to fortify our financial peace in our lives as we build and begin to form these habits and then be obedient to them. The other thing that can happen is our desires take over on payday and we go, I deserve this. And we confuse deserve versus earned, and we go out and we spend money on our credit cards like it's going out of style, and then we're confused as to how we got into so much credit card debt. When we have habits established on payday that begin to set us in a particular trajectory that we want to go in, of financial peace, each one of those steps is a decisive decision on a long direction that we're going. What can payday habits look like? Well, in one of my favorite financial books, The Richest Man in Babylon, we're met with the characters of this story who have a desire and the questions of how do we become wealthy? And in the opening pages, we are met by a man whose desire is to learn how to become wealthy. So he goes to a wealthy man and he asks for insight on how to build wealth. And the first step that is given is one that's been taught ever since George Clason wrote the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself no less than 1/10 of your income. A payday routine that you can establish is to pay yourself first. And we go, and the question posed in the book is, well, isn't all of my pay at my disposal? Isn't it all mine to keep? To which the wise individual in the book says, no, you pay the jeweler and the cloth maker, you pay for clothes, you pay for food, you pay for transportation, you pay for your subscriptions, you pay for the subscriptions you never use, you pay for your memberships and all your other things. And the individual says, all of that money is actually going out. You don't retain or keep any of it. You don't pay yourself first. And so the first step that we can take in our payday habits and routine is to learn to pay ourselves first 1/10 of our income. Now, I'm an individual who possesses a faith, and so I believe there's actually a great significant portion of giving also in my payday habits. So a personal payday habit that I have is that I give first from the foundation of generosity that I possess in my faith. And then I pay myself that 10% off of all earned income. The third thing that we do on our payday habits is that we invest money as well. Now, if you have debts, that would be your next step, is to pay down your debts. And then you get to live off of what is left over. If we give and we save and we invest, what we're left with is what we can live off of. And that living off of goes to filling our needs, the house and roof over our heads, the food that gets put on our tables and into our stomach, and the transportation, the modes of transportation that we need to be able to get to and from work. Beyond these needs, the rest become wants. The extra clothes, the eating out, the entertainment, the places we frequent, the sports activities, the hobbies that we have, the memberships to the gyms. These become not needs in our life, but desires in our life that if we have the money for, we can then do them. If we follow a payday routine such as this of give, save, invest, live for our needs, and live for our desires, what we find is that as we go down the list, as the end of the month comes, if we have no money, what gets axed off the chopping block is those desirous things. The things like, I won't eat out as much this month, or maybe I don't need that 5th brand new t-shirt this month. Instead, if we fail to plan and we don't have a plan in place for what our payday routine is, we won't start by giving, saving, investing. We'll start by spending and living, allowing our FOMO to take over our finances. And we buy the 5 t-shirts, and at the end of the month, it's much easier to go, I'll save next month. And then next month comes, and you know the cycle. We're now years into saying, next month, I'll start my savings account. When we learn to live by this golden rule found in The Richest Man in Babylon of pay yourself first, investing and developing those habits, we build a fortified city of finances and financial peace in our own minds. That way, as our income increases, our expenses don't need to match the level of income increase. We can continue to section off money for giving, saving, and investing and living, and allow slight increases in our lifestyle. But by these times, as we've established these habits, what we will find is that our desire to save and invest and give will grow more than our desire to spend foolishly on things in our life. That way, as our income increases and our expenses decrease and we invest the difference, that is the key to building wealth, is what's in between the income and the expense. So when our income comes in, allocating it so that we don't expense it all, but investing the difference so that we can build wealth, feel a sense of financial peace, and live a life of direction and purpose with our finances, not floating about, unsure as to why we never have enough at the end. One of the really interesting things written in The Richest Man in Babylon that I can attest to myself is this: when we make the decision to save a tenth of our income and set it aside and live off of 90%, you almost don't even feel that pain because you're like, I can do this small amount. And it means maybe just a few other things in our month get dropped, but they're things that I really didn't need anyways. And now I have a growing emergency fund and investment account simply by saying no to foolish spending and paying myself first. I think you have the ability and the desire to be able to do the same. I encourage you to make some payday routines and habits that you begin to stick to, because each one of those steps will be a building block and the foundation of our financial fortress that is able to bring and pay back in dividends. So I encourage you on this journey. Maybe write some of your payday habits down in the comments section below. And if you haven't, go and pick up a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon and give it a read. It sure is a fun one, and it's really revealing for finances. See you in the next video.